Hi all, I thought I'd just put together a quick video summarising my thoughts on some new clips and footage that have emerged of the new Silent Hill movie Return to Silent Hill, helmed by its original director from 2006, Christoph Gans. Split between two behind-the-scenes videos, there's been some new footage and images I've seen. I just wanted to go over some points about what I both like and dislike about what I'm seeing so far. However, I will only be speaking on the new footage and images and not necessarily wasting too much time showing all the interviews in between. I'll briefly just sum up what they say when it gets to those sections. Christoph says that the horror audiences of today are very different from what they were in 2006, and that horror films now are much more disturbing and psychological. I'd 100% agree with him on that this needs to be disturbing to a degree, and also nearly all psychological horror. I think he's referring to something more of what's called elevated horror of today, stuff that people would list as something like an A24 horror movie. I like the look of the street here, but I don't like how everything's covered in ash. I know he set that up in the first film due to the coal mine fire and probably has to stick with it, but it makes it look way too desolate. I've always seen Silent Hill's look to be very ordinary. To me, it just looks like a town from maybe the late 80s, early 90s that's just been abandoned. But in my opinion, having it in this state of decay makes it look too over the top. You'd immediately know that the inhabitants of the town are no longer there. When you see Silent Hill 2's town in the game, it looks like it's just a very quiet town and there could possibly still be residents around. But we do know from James's perception of the hotel at the end, he's not seeing the town for what it really is in areas. But I think it should just look more like a quiet remote town. I couldn't figure out what this image was at first. I thought it was someone's eyes awakening after a car crash in the rearview mirror. But then I realised it's Angela's eyes in the knife in front of the large mirror in the Blue Creek apartments. It's actually a really clever shot. The Blue Creek apartments, I've also said my piece, looking too grimy and over the top for what they look like compared in the game. But this room here reminds me a lot of the Abstract Daddy boss fight with the TV, rather than the dead body in front of the static TV like in the game. That is extremely creepy with a slow head turn. However, I'm not sure what this creature would be in the world of Silent Hill 2. It doesn't look familiar. And also, we get a quick glance at Laura through this keyhole, but before you see her come into frame, it's almost like she has a deformed doll with moving and blinking eyes. Again, it could just be a teddy to her, but if that's the case, why do her toys not appear corrupt to James in Silent Hill 2 the game? I really like the look of the forest here that James walks through. I think that looks awesome. We get some notes here from the creature designer that he says that the look of Silent Hill is very much its own aesthetic. I think what he says is generally what Masahiro Ito was going for with the creature designs of Silent Hill 2. I've spoken about how the gang of nurses that have been already established in this world wouldn't be able to work together in this way in my last video on Return. But what emotion is James also using here? It looks really half-arsed, like he can't decide whether he's scared or mildly annoyed or confused or what. It almost looks like he's only giving 40%, like he's warming up. There is our first close-up look at a straitjacket or lion figure, and it seems pretty detailed, maybe more than necessary. But it still looks pretty impressive makeup all the same. We then see James running from a barrage of enemies with a glowing orange sky behind him that looks very unnatural. And I know someone might say Silent Hill is supposed to seem unnatural. You have to remember how ordinary and unsuspecting the environments of Silent Hill 2 were compared to some of the other games. They literally just look like fairly recently abandoned spaces with the odd bit of graffiti or boarded windows. They didn't look like a fairground ghost train ride. We also see him running from multiple enemies, which in a sense is good. It's showing James having to flee, and not to be a super cool dude trying to take them all on at once. The fear is just too great for him, which I like, but they seem to be going a little over the top with how much is on screen at once.
It's so dense, every single image has so many things going on.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
The streets of Silent Hill 2 do get very overrun towards the end of the game, so this isn't 100% away from the source material. However, I hope this isn't at the very start of the movie. It seems a little bit too busy for busy's sake. We also hear from the cinematographer here, but essentially I'm still not fully captivated by anything I've seen from the trailers so far. I mean, look how fake these moths look. Why is that necessary to have them CGI? Surely they can hire some form of specialist to come on set for the day and let loose some moths in an enclosed set for a couple of hours to get a few shots. Maria here also looks very unnatural, like a cheap porn parody of Silent Hill. We see an area slowly being consumed by fire, which again I'm sure is AI or CG, but at least looks a little more convincing than the other trailers so far. It's also good to hear Christoph Gans had already gone to the trouble of storyboarding all the film ahead of having other people involved, as I'm sure he intends to make something genuine and true to Silent Hill. However, it just seems to somewhere get lost in translation along the way. And I know it's in the first movie, but we don't ever see any birds in the game of Silent Hill. It's more so just a visual cue to represent the nightmare taking over, which again never really happens in Silent Hill 2. Areas do become darker and more dirty looking over time, but it never fully transforms before your eyes like that. I still don't really like the casting of Jeremy Irvine. He seems too bro Chad vibes for James. Guy Seehey playing James seems way more quiet and unassuming, and also being able to connect with James's inner torment is so essential to our emotional ties to the game, and now the film. Making him look and act in the wrong manner, even slightly, destroys that connection we may feel for him, which is paramount. I've not seen him look upset or in thought once on any of these trailers. It's just him looking confused walking around a bunch of green screens. Laura's actress seems to look and sound quite like Laura though. It seems strange that she also talks here about how genuine this production is to Silent Hill when she seems too young to have even played or experienced any of the games. There's a shot of flames under James's feet running over strange looking tiles above, which have replaced the floors in the street. I'm not too sure what that's about, as it seems they're taking the changed look of what they consider to be the other world way too far. We never really see the world change that drastically in Silent Hill 2. One thing I notice is how minimal the actual physical sets are here, and how much the rest is CG. Maybe it's a budget constraint issue, however I thought with the amount of passion Christoph shows for the series, you'd think more time and care would possibly go into the building and use of physical sets, which I'm sure again would affect the overall performance of the actors as well, if they were immersed in a real world. We get another shot of Pyramid Head with the great knife, and for the first time we see Eddie's actor. I was hoping to see a shot of him in costume, but he looks like he'll fit the part. This elevator shot looks terrible though. It looks so fake and over the top. In the prison, you take a very slow, ominous elevator ride down very deep underground, which is very unnerving as it just keeps going and going. Here, all the tension's lost as it's just trying way too hard to look impressive and be exciting, which totally doesn't seem right. In the second video, Christoph speaks about how has been a staple of the series and is involved with this new film. But he does say Akira Yamaoka was also the creator of Silent Hill, but he wasn't. At most, maybe co-creator, but for the first 3 games, he was largely just the sound design. He was largely involved as a producer from 4 onwards for stuff like Homecoming and Origins, but I find it weird how they put his title here as creator of Silent Hill. As far as the sound design and music go, he was the key component of that. Surely the title should be co-creator. He says he was very happy watching it, but with the town and its environments being such a key part, seeing an actor just wandering around a bunch of green screens can't be a good way to judge the final product, surely.
I didn't know there was this much green in the whole galaxy.
This shot of Lion figure out of the tunnels looks very genuine though and impressive, and so does the bathroom here. These slower tense moments seem to be more of what's needed in the trailers, as this makes me think more of Silent Hill at its core than whatever this is. The Blue Creek apartments, I've also said my piece, looking too grimy and over the top for what they look like compared in the game. But this room here reminds me a lot of the Abstract Daddy boss fight with the TV, rather than the dead body in front of the static TV like in the game. This is a cool shot with a silhouette through the glass showing James close to possibly finding Mary, but still apart. Laura here looks very pale and dressed in dirty clothes, like she's been neglected or trapped there. That isn't supposed to be how she's presented. She's supposed to be not present to the same world that James is seeing. Therefore, she shouldn't look as if she's in such a bad environment as him. But maybe it's just because we're seeing it through James's eyes. But then again, this would have been the case in the game as well then. I like how James recalls from Maria here, but again, there's something off about the casting of Maria. It looks too Halloween cosplay than a real person. Also, this maze looks so fake. It almost makes me laugh. We then basically get a summary of what Akira believes to be the heart of Silent Hill. I'd have to say those elements he mentions are crucial to the heart of Silent Hill, and hopefully the potential success of this film. It's always difficult adapting someone else's vision into your own storytelling. However, despite what most people think of it, I quite enjoy the 2006 Silent Hill film for its aesthetic and vibe, even if the story is slightly off. I know it's never going to be beat for beat, but think about all the great adaptations we have had recently, such as The Last of Us TV show. That is almost shot for shot, and how many people love that haven't even played the game before? I believe this could be a real success. I mean, Akira Yamaoka being on board will hopefully steer the ship right, and hopefully Christoph's passion for Silent Hill comes through. I'm just hoping it's not meddled with by the studio too much. So let's cross our fingers and wait till January, where I'm sure I'll be making a video on the outcome. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please leave a like and a comment, and consider subscribing to the channel for all future content. It really helps me greatly and pushes me to continue making these videos. Until next time, I've been your host, JB Twinesiger.